If you can hear me, say hello in the chat. Hello, 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 hello. Where is everybody? I'm not seeing the chat. What's going on? Oh, I don't know whether I did the right thing. Please just say hello in the chat so that I know that I'm talking to people, because I can see that there are 12 people that are online, but I'm not seeing any chat yet. So I don't know if I'm actually okay. Thank you. Oh, analytics. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Suleiman Adamu from Nigeria. Thank you so much. I was recently in Nigeria. I was just, how will I put it now? It was a very short trip, so I didn't want to announce it that I was in Nigeria. If I had a long trip, then I would have announced it so that we could do a small meeting in Nigeria. But because it was a very short trip and everything was just tight, back to back, back to back, back to back, I just did not have the time. It was a very stressful period for me. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ayek. Thank you, Bello. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you, Navigating Life with Iweni. I don't know. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Igbavo, Jennifer. Thank you, Ikechuke GK. Thank you so much. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I'm doing very, very fine. So please forgive me, my YouTube family. I really need to apologize because I just things just was overwhelming for me. And life, when you're navigating life, like navigating life with Iweni, probably we should do a collaborative video one of these days, right? Maybe we should do a collaborative video. It's me I have to reach out to you. Please, you give me your email so that I can reach out to you so that we can talk one of these days so that we can do a live session. So, life just gets overwhelming and you just have to choose the ball you have to drop. Like when you're doing things, you're being a mother, you're being a wife, you're being an entrepreneur, you're trying to set up a lot of things. You also have your extended family members, your siblings, your mom, like everything was just coming in at the same time. Too many activities coming in at the same time. And the only thing that had to suffer out of all of them was the YouTube channel. Um, oh, okay. That's nice. Please, let's chat on WhatsApp again, please, so that we can, if I don't know whether you do YouTube, probably we should do a YouTube session together. Yeah, let's chat again on WhatsApp so that we can do a YouTube session again. Andrew, thank you so much. Let me just confess, the project is not my project, it's a family project. It's a family project, though. So but I have one small one. I'm setting up my Nigerian office. Yes, I'm setting up my Nigerian office. Fun fact is that I've always had administrative staff back in Nigeria for almost 2 to 3 years now. They've been working, but like they are still new. They don't really know anything. They just package documents for me and I do the applications myself. But the pressure to like set up something better, just small, to test the number of people that can walk into that office is what I'm trying to do. So I'm just letting my YouTube family know that the Nigerian office, I'm setting it up. It's a small office, so please, it's a very, very small office. We are setting it up to see how many people we can help who do not come online. There are a lot of people that don't come online, but they want to. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, analytics. So it's just to see what's going on. I've had my administrative staff since, but they've just been on the down low. Like it's only people that have used my services are aware that I have administrative team and they're in Nigeria, and I'm just trying to see whether we could launch out besides just them being in the background. Let's just launch out and see how things would be. And let's see how things will go from there. Okay. So today's YouTube is just to chat. And if you have any questions about immigration, I'll try to answer them as much as I can. Like I announced yesterday that I'll be doing a back-to-back session every day. So I don't have any topic that I will come to talk about. Probably if there's a topic to talk about, yes, I could talk about it. Or if you give me the topic, I would also talk about it probably from today's live. Maybe that's what I'll talk about tomorrow, right? Then after that, I do Q&A and answer your questions for, let's say, for 1 hour. And let's see how things pick up from there. I am so, like, again, I really need to apologize to YouTube family, because it's like anytime I'm having so much pressure, the easiest ball I should drop is like it's YouTube, because I have to come on live. If it's Instagram, I just have curated posts that I can just post or schedule and post and abandon it for 1 week, and nobody knows that those posts that are coming up at the time they are coming up, they were actually scheduled probably 1 month ago or 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago. Maybe it's only when there is something new that I can just post immediately. But other than that, for Instagram, most of the posts are actually curated maybe 1 week ahead or 2 weeks ahead. So it's easy not to know when I am very overwhelmed with Instagram. But for YouTube, you would know, except maybe I do videos where I don't show my face. And it's very difficult to do that because I like to show my face. I like to interact with people. So it's very easy to know when I'm not on YouTube. And that's when you know that it's like there's a lot of things going on in this lady's life that she doesn't want to come on YouTube. And that's the truth. Please forgive me. I am so sorry for abandoning everybody. Okay, so for today, I don't know. Let's just, like, if you have any questions, right? Any question relating to your status in Canada, if you have people who are outside Canada trying to come in, let's explore the options that are available. There are lots of hidden options. Okay, Jennifer, I'll answer you. There was one question I saw at the top. I will start from the top as well, then I'll come to your question. So there are lots of hidden immigration pathways that a lot of people do not know about. And even me too, as an immigration consultant, when I have consultations with some people and they talk about certain pathways, except I go and start asking questions, sometimes I feel that those pathways are not genuine, especially with the way it is packaged, right? With the way some of them are packaged, you think that they are not genuine. So except we dig further before we now know that these pathways are actually genuine pathways. And I'm going to talk about it later on much in this video. That particular pathway that somebody told me about it sometime last year, but I just felt it was not a genuine pathway because, I mean, the way it was organized, I just was not sure about it. But after a lot of conversations, it turned out that the pathway was very, very genuine. And some people have used that pathway to get provincial nomination today. So I'll talk about most of the hidden pathways. There are some that I've talked about. I've talked about them in my videos, like maybe one in 2023. And there are some that actually popped up or came up last year that are also hidden, not popular. It's just the few people that were aware of it that took advantage of it. Now it's difficult. Not that it's difficult, it's just that because of the current changing immigration landscape, they are kind of not sure if the program will continue next year. So I'll talk about it later. But let me start with the very first question that was dropped on this live session. So what is the scope of PR for a mechanical engineer from Pakistan with 40 years age and 1 year experience in Canada on work permit? Okay, so it depends on the province you are living in. If you can tell me which province you are living in so that I can give you a good direction on what you should be doing. If you're living in Ontario, that means you should be targeting the RCIP communities, right? If you schooled in Ontario, of course, the competition within the RCIP community is very, very high, especially for those who school in those communities like Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay, Timmins. These communities, they have schools in them, like there are schools that are located there. So people who school there, they are given more priority over others who did not school there. That doesn't mean that if you get a job offer from a designated employer, you will not be you will not be considered. You will be considered, but depends on the community criteria. Each community has their criteria. And that reminds me, I said in one of my last videos, I mentioned that I owe this community would I call it a document that has all the information about RCIP that will be updated from time to time. That document is ready. I would say 80% ready, right? 80% ready. I'm just hoping that with time, before the end of this month, I'll make it fully ready and share to everybody so that you get all the updates, like all the RCIP communities, all the jobs that they have advertised, all the designated employers, what is going on, any latest updates. You just have everything in one spreadsheet, such that you do not need to go and start searching from one website to another. You have all the information in one spreadsheet in your presence. So like I said, it's 80% ready. I just have about 20% just to fine tune some things so that I can distribute that particular document. So Falcon 19, please, is it Falcon or Falcon? Falcon 19, please. I would like to know your province. That will help me give you a better advice on where you should be targeting in terms of getting PR or in terms of extending your work permit. For extending your work permit, it's either you have gotten an invitation to apply, or you have gotten a provincial nomination, or you have gotten an endorsement from a community before you can extend your work permit, or you learn French and get a CLB5. I even talked about it today on my Instagram page. I said, if you are learning French, just stay encouraged and learn the French. At least get a CLB5 in the French exam. With the CLB5, you can extend your work permit using the Francophone mobility pathway. With the Francophone mobility pathway, if you have a CLB5 and if your employer is willing to pay the LMI exemption fee of $230, you can actually extend your work permit for 1 year. So when you extend it like that, you're able to, have enough time to be able to get PR. And even with the French, you can also get PR as well, depending on where you find yourself. Okay, so I'll move on to Jennifer's question. This is the next question. Let me just put it here. Give an update on the current process of getting PR. Okay, so this question is quite broad. If you ask me, an update on the current process, there are several immigration options, and each of the options, they have their own process, they have their own timeline, they have their own requirements to meet. If it is express entry, everybody knows express entry is more or less the fastest way of getting their PR. But with express entry, there is the age factor, there is the educational qualifications factor, there's the adaptability factor, there's the language factor, right? All these factors, if you are not able to meet a certain score or get a certain comprehensive ranking score, the chances of getting an invitation to apply under express entry is very, very slim. And for now, they've not been doing any general draw. They've been doing category-based selection. The only general draw they do is actually under the Canadian experience class. So when I mean general draw, where they select all types of occupations. So it's under the Canadian experience class or the provincial nomination. Even with that, provincial nomination is also specific because some provinces are not giving nomination to any occupation anyhow. For instance, Ontario, people who were in Ontario as at last year, they were inviting tech workers. No, last year they didn't invite tech workers. Let me not say last year. Year before last, they were inviting tech workers, they were inviting human resources, they were inviting management workers, right? Those category of people, they were inviting them. But as at last year, they didn't invite tech workers. That's just to tell you that anybody who is a tech worker in Ontario, the chances of getting provincial nomination from Ontario is very, very slim, right? So now, if you move on to the other provinces, like let's say Alberta, Alberta still has the accelerated tech pathway. If you move on to Manitoba, Manitoba still has their occupation in demand list. They've not scrapped those occupation in demand lists. Is still there, meaning if you are working as an accountant, if you're working as a human resources officer, if you're working as an administrative person, you can still maintain those jobs and get provincial nomination. So you have to like now ask yourself which province will be suitable for you. That doesn't mean if you school in Ontario and you work in Ontario, you should just wake up and just decide to jump to Manitoba and see whether you can get nomination, because you have to know the requirements of Manitoba. For Manitoba, you have to live in Manitoba for 1 year first before you actually get provincial nomination if you're coming from another province, right? So you have to look at all these things and factor these things into consideration. So if you're outside Canada, this is the best time for you to even strategize and position yourself in the best province. And for now, before I used to talk about which province was best, like when I checked the last video or the last shot I did, I think I mentioned it, was it 4 months ago, where I was saying Manitoba and Saskatchewan were the best province. If you're outside Canada, you're looking for a province to move to. I was saying that Manitoba and Saskatchewan was the best because at the time, they were able to negotiate the extension of temporary residence work permits at that time. So based on that, I said they were the best. But now, right now, if you ask me, I wouldn't even say anyone is the best right now, because all of them, they have their peculiarities, they have their issues, they have all the things that they are grappling with. So ask me which province is best. Even as at last month, I was saying Newfoundland and Labrador was the best. Those who had consultation with me, I was telling them, if you're targeting, target Newfoundland and Labrador. But towards the end of last month, Newfoundland and Labrador came up with their own, what do you call it now, own requirements again. Before they were skipping you living in their province for a period of time before you get provincial nomination. As long as you get a job offer in the sector that is in demand, you'll be able to get provincial nomination. But Newfoundland and Labrador now came up with a news that you have to live there for 1 year at least before you apply for provincial nomination. So you can see that when you say one province is good, next thing something is changing. So I'm just being careful about using which province is best for now. But overall, if you ask me, where should you be targeting in terms of getting easy PR, right? If you're still outside and you want to come to school in Canada, I would say target the Atlantic provinces and also target Manitoba. These are the provinces I would say you should target. Number 1, Newfoundland and Labrador. Number 2, Nova Scotia. Number 3, New Brunswick. Prince Edward Island has its own. I've been saying that Prince Edward Island has been funny. Prince Edward Island has its own issues, right? So out of the Atlantic provinces, I won't recommend PEI, but like PEI has its own peculiarities, which I'm going to talk about. Then for the prairie region, when they say prairie, I'm talking about Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan. Those are the three sisters, the three prairie sisters where there's cold, right? Cold is is blowing breeze in their area. So for the three prairie provinces, for now, I would only recommend Manitoba for now. Why I am not recommending Alberta is because Alberta, although they are still issuing nominations, but they have been kind of slow and they have lots of hidden restrictions, like very hidden restrictions, such that you might be thinking, oh, if I move to Alberta, it will be easy for me. But you go there and you're stuck, right? So apart from the Alberta rural renewal stream that is open to everybody, and that's open to everybody who's schooled in any other province and you'd relocate, then I'll say yes, Alberta Rural Renewal Stream. And then the Alberta Accelerated Tech Pathway, which if you have an express entry profile, you can take advantage of that pathway if you're working for a tech company. These are the only two options that are open for people who school in other provinces and are looking for places to move to. So these two options, they are still good, because for the Alberta Accelerated Tech Pathway, it has about 20, is it 20 or 20? About 28 occupations that are listed, such that if you get a job offer in those occupations, you can apply for provincial nomination. But they've been very, very slow, like very slow. A lot of people are anxious. Nobody knows what is going on. So that's why I'm not really recommending Alberta. Same thing for Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan has just kind of shut down I would say they shut down completely. Like there's no news coming from Saskatchewan to say, okay, you have some immigration options that are open for people, right? So I would say be careful if you want to move provinces. If you want to move provinces, let's say you're in Ontario, it's better to target the Atlantic provinces that have multiple options like the AIP and also the Ontario province, sorry, the provincial nomination. But of course, most of these Atlantic provinces as well, they have smaller PR slots, and they are actually rationing the occupations that they are giving nominations to. For instance, New Brunswick came up with a list of occupations that they will not give nominations to. So you have to be careful if you say you want to move. All right. So I hope I answered that question. The question is very broad. If I keep talking about it, that means we will not live here. What else? Let me see the next question. Is Canada still recruiting care workers? I've seen positions being advertised, but not sure if they take those outside. So yes, Canada is still recruiting care workers. So, which at the beginning of this session, I said there were hidden opportunities that a lot of people did not know about. And one of those hidden opportunities was actually by a private career college in Newfoundland and Labrador. I won't mention the name of the private career college. If you want to know the name, please send me an email. I'll send it. I'll tell you the name of the private career college, and I'm going to talk about it. Now, that particular private career college, they had an agreement with the Newfoundland and Labrador government that anybody that attends their program, they would give them provincial nomination slots such that they will come and work, and then after working, they'll get their PR, right? So it was more like a I don't want to, I'm being careful trying to use the word guaranteed, because I mean, there's nothing guaranteed when it comes to immigration. But they had this agreement in place, and a lot of people who knew about it at the time it was announced took advantage of it to secure admission in that particular school. And you do the program. You don't need to come into Canada to do the program. It's a hybrid program. You have to do the program. So part of it is that part of the requirement is that you must have gotten your care experience. At least you must have 1 year care experience, and you must have your language results ready before you register for that program. So once you register, you will do the program at the comfort of your home, wherever you are. If you're in UK, if you're in Nigeria, if you're in Kuwait, if you're in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, wherever you are, you do the program. And then after some months, when you do the program to a certain level, I'm just trying to remember the process now. When you do the program up to a certain level, then the school will forward your name to the organization that will hire you. The organization that will hire you would give you a job offer. With the job offer, you apply for provincial nomination to the Newfoundland and Labrador immigration. You create an expression of interest. The job offer you're given is a conditional offer that requires you to come in and work first, right? But with that offer, you apply for provincial, or you create an expression of interest, and then you get provincial nomination from Newfoundland and Labrador. And with the Newfoundland and Labrador provincial nomination, you apply for permanent residence and apply for work permits. And then you come into Canada to work for that organization. So meaning your PR application is in process. It's already in process before you even come in. And then you are working for that organization. When your PRO application is approved, we will still continue working for that organization. So more like it was a guarantee. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid using the word guaranteed, right? But such programs, they were there, right? They were there as at last year. And when I spoke to the lady that was running the program, I spoke to her today, funny enough. She said she's not sure if the program will continue for next year. So they only have for this September slot, September 2025 intake. By the end of the year, that's when they will know if the program will continue, right? So for care workers, especially nurses, anybody who is outside Canada looking for a pathway, this particular pathway I talked about, it was like it's a sure pathway of getting provincial nomination even when you're still outside Canada, right? But you don't see it there. It's not popular. And funny enough, one of my clients, she was the one that told me about this program, funny enough. But I was arguing with her that I don't trust all these private career college people, blah, blah, blah. I was arguing with her, but she was like, it's genuine that she has seen some people, and I had to go confirm, and they said it's genuine. I confirmed from Newfoundland and Labrador Immigration Office, and they confirmed that it was genuine. Like I have my emails, I have my calls as evidence. It's just that because of confidentiality reasons, I can't show you those things. But I confirmed that it was genuine. I even spoke to the lady who is organizing it, and yes, it's genuine. One of my clients was able to get her provincial nomination, which I actually did post on my Instagram page, but I've taken it down now for a lot of other reasons that popped up after that. But that's just to tell you that there are some hidden immigration pathways for care workers that are outside Canada to take advantage of. It might not come in the package you're expecting, like, right? It might not come in the package that you think you would see it, but these opportunities are there. That's one. So I've mentioned one, which is Newfoundland and Labrador. The second one is actually in Manitoba and is under Winkler Stanley Immigration. I mentioned it before. I mentioned this Winkler Stanley Immigration in 2023 in one of my videos in 2023. I can't remember the month, but I know that I mentioned it in 2023. And it didn't require any job offer, right? It didn't require any job offer. All you needed to do was just submit your application, and you will get, if they select you and they feel that they need your expertise, you get endorsement. As at 2 months ago, Winkler Stanley now removed opportunities for care workers. Before, care workers could apply, and even one of my clients was able to get endorsement without a job offer. And she's based in the UK. She got endorsement from Winkler Stanley, got MPMP, Manitoba Provincial nomination, without any relative in Manitoba, without a job offer. I think the video I did then was how to get nomination from Manitoba without relative. I can't remember the title, but I know I did a video like that. I mentioned Winkler Stanley. And one of my clients who is in the UK, she was able to use that to get endorsement from Winkler Stanley community, applied for Manitoba Provincial nomination. She got the nomination. Now we have applied for a PR. So these are the hidden options that are available that even when I talk about them, people don't just you know, people don't take notice of them. It's only very few people that take notice of them and take action. So that's option number two. But sadly, unfortunately or fortunately, they've removed the option for care workers. There are other occupations that are listed there. Like if you go Winkler Stanley community, or probably I'll put it in the description of this video or in the chat of this video or something so that you can see the link and just go there and see the occupations that are listed there. And if you feel that your occupation is in demand, then you can go ahead and apply and just hope for the best. So that's option number two. Option number three is actually West Central Immigration. I've not talked about West Central Immigration since it came out. I've not talked about it before. That's because for me, when an immigration pathway comes out, I try to wait it out to see if there's actually any successful, what do you call it now, successful person with that particular pathway before I talk about it. I don't like pushing a pathway that I know that there are no successes coming out of it. Maybe it's just all smokes and screens, right? So Winkler Stanley, I've not talked about it. This is the first time I'm actually talking about Winkler Stanley immigration. Is it not Winkler Stanley? Sorry, West Central. I'm sorry, I'm mixing it up. West Central Immigration. This is the first time I'm talking about West Central. I've talked about Winkler Stanley in 2023. This is the first time I'm talking about West Central Immigration. And West Central Immigration is also another small immigration pathway that is handled by the Manitoba province. And it's a pathway. It's for everybody. Whether you're in Canada, whether you're outside Canada, everybody can go ahead and apply to West Central Immigration. I don't think they have published occupations that they need for now. So what typically they do is that, or what it is about is that there are 8 small communities that the government of Manitoba is trying to populate, and they gave those communities provincial nomination slots, such that if you are able to secure a job offer from West Central Immigration from any of the 8 communities, then you can apply for community endorsement. With the endorsement, you apply for Manitoba provincial nomination and then apply for permanent residence. So if you are searching for jobs, I will also say you should target West Central immigration. If you're in Canada, you're having issues with extending your stay, maybe your permit is about to expire, you're not sure of getting provincial nomination and all of that, target West Central. Try to get a job offer there. Job offer part is not compulsory, but what do you call it now? It's not compulsory, right? But if you get a job offer, you're giving yourself a higher chance. And recently, they've paused the intake. Like they pause it, they open it, they pause it, they open it. It was open for a long time, and just some days ago that I checked, I saw that they've paused the intake for West Central immigration. So this particular immigration that I talked about, like I said, is open for everybody, whether you're inside, whether you're outside. There's no specific restriction. Although they'll ask you questions whether you have siblings or anybody living in those communities. If you don't have, it doesn't matter. Just try to get a job offer in those communities. Then there's actually one more that they've actually paused. That one was very small. It's also in Manitoba. In fact, all those small hidden pathways. It's small, but they've paused it. It's called Parkland Immigration. Parkland Immigration is also small. They've paused it. If you just do Parkland Immigration, you will see that they've paused it. So probably you just keep checking and see whether they will open, right? Then Morden as well. Morden Immigration, they've also paused Morden. Morden has paused. Morden was open for a very long time, like for years. It was open for a very long time, but they have paused Morden Immigration. Okay, so I hope I have answered your question. I'll move on to the next. Can I get work from Nigeria? Because one scammed me last year. Still, I'm interested in coming to Canada. Okay, so work from Nigeria. Like everybody knows that getting a job offer in Canada is very, very hard. It's not as if people still get job offers, but um, it depends on the kind of work you're looking for, and depends on your expertise as well. There are category of people that can easily get jobs, and there are category of people that cannot get jobs. So it depends on what your occupational expertise is, what your experience is in. That will determine if you can get jobs or if you cannot get jobs. But in general, it's not easy to get a job in Canada. Even those in Canada are looking for jobs, right? They are looking for jobs. And guess what? Let me just say something to my committee members. So recently I said this job thing that everybody's difficult, everybody's complaining that it's difficult. Let me see, let me even apply to jobs and see whether they will call me. Self. That's how I went to dust my resume and say, let me start applying to jobs. So I'm just experimenting and testing the market to see how bad it is. So it's if I have the time, but if I don't have the time, I don't think I'll continue with that experiment. Anyway, all right. I'll move on to the next question. Please, I need a legit pathway for someone in Switzerland and wants to move to Canada. So, Switzerland, what's your status in Switzerland? If you're a permanent resident in Switzerland, you can just come and visit Canada and see how things are, right? And I don't, like I said, most of these things is subject to your profession. What is your profession? Let's start from there. If I know what your profession is, I'll be able to tell you if there is an option or if there is no option. So since I don't know your profession, it's difficult for me to advise which option will be suitable. And if you're in Switzerland, I believe you should be able to speak French. So let's say you can speak French, then you take advantage of the French francophone mobility and target most of the francophone communities and try to secure a job offer in any of the FCIP communities, it's Francophone Community Immigration Program. Okay. My wife has been nominated for MB Skilled Worker and have received ITA through MBEE, which has been submitted. Should we prioritize the MBEE stream or proceed with the Skilled Worker pathway through MBEE? If you have already submitted through MB Express Entry, please just do Express Entry because Express Entry is faster. Provincial nomination is taking time. There's one guy that actually complained about it in media. He published he paid all these media outlets to publish his story that he doesn't understand why RCC is segregating or doing like RCC is prioritizing people who are submitting via express entry to approve the applications faster, right? The timeline to PRR approval for express entry is faster than provincial nomination. So if your wife has gotten nomination for the skilled worker route and you have submitted your application through New Brunswick express entry route, express entry is faster than the skilled worker route. Skilled worker for its provincial nomination, it can take as much as 24 months. That's 2 years to get PR. Whereas express entry people are getting their PR approved within 6 months, 7 months. So I would say express entry is better. Okay. Next question. I'm a visitor in Canada, but I have a CLB 8 IELTS and CLB 5 TCF. What pathway would you? So this is fantastic. If you have a CLB 5 in TCF, please target jobs in the Francophone communities and also create your express entry profile. Well, I don't know what your scores will be if you use French as your primary language in the express entry pool, right? So instead you use English because you have the higher score in your English, which means if they do the French draw, you will not be picked. But with your score, target employers, Francophone employers, French employers that are hiring French people under the Francophone Community Immigration Program. If you target those communities and you're able to get a job offer, then you're applying immediately for permanent residency under the Francophone Community Immigration Program. That's what I can say. So there are about 5 communities, or is it 5 or 4 communities under the FCIP? I know one is called one is Saint Pierre Joly. One is in New Brunswick here. I can't remember the name again. Can't even remember the name. I know one is Kelowna, and then which one again? One is in Nova Scotia, and then one is in Ontario. About 5 of them. Timmins and Sudbury, they are also under the Francophone Community Immigration Program. So please target searching for jobs in those places from a designated employer in those places. Once you get a job offer, you're applying on that FCIP. Or you can just target any random Francophone job. Target any random Francophone job. If you get any Francophone job, any French job, you can apply for work permit that is LMIA exempt. Because the Francophone Mobility Program is LMIA exempt. The employer will only pay the compliance fee, that's $230. So I would say you should target those ones. Okay. I hope I'm not skipping anyone. Okay, so let me answer this question. Can someone already in Canada apply for this program? Which of the program? Please remind me which of the program. I have talked about a lot of programs so that I can tell you, so that I can know which of the program. Okay. Please, what is your email that I got the private college? Okay, my email, I will put my email, I'll type my email in the comment section. Email is hello@caninfoconsult.com. Sorry, I'm using a new laptop and I'm not used to this caninfoconsult.com. I've typed it in the chat, so you should be able to see it. Okay. Please, the post you made today about getting 5 CLB, does it also apply to spouses? It applies to everybody, right? Everybody. If you have French CLB 5, everybody, if you have French CLB 5, you can apply, and your employer must be willing to do the LMI exemption for you, right? LMI exemption doesn't take time. It doesn't take time. About if somebody is used to it, like those of us who are used to it, within 30 minutes, 1 hour, we are done. You do it, you get the code. There's a code called A code. You get that A code and attach it to your application for work permits, and then you're good to go, right? So if your employer is willing to do that LMI exemption and pay the compliance fee, which is $230, you can apply for your work permit extension, and you can apply for your work permit. If you're a fresh work permit applicant, you can apply for work permit. If you already have an existing work permit and you want to extend it, you can extend it with the CLB 5 in French. It must be CLB 5 under the Francophone Mobility Program. And now when you're applying, of course, you have to mention which program you're applying for. So you don't just randomly apply, say you want to extend your permit. You have to mention the program you apply for. IRCC, that's one of these things they do. They just take advantage of people's ignorance, especially if you're applying for something and just refuse your application. I've seen cases where somebody applied for bridging open work permit because he had applied for PR. And because he didn't mention that he was applying for bridging open work permits, they refused his application, right? So if you are applying for any extension, you must mention what you're applying for, what category you're applying for, so that they know that they are putting your application in the right category. If you expect them to know what you're applying for, you might be shooting yourself in the foot, because they will just refuse it and just say they don't know what you're applying for. So it is your responsibility as the applicant to mention what you are applying for. There are different categories of work permit. You don't just apply for work permit because you are applying for work permit. You must mention the category of work permit you are applying for. So for those applying under the Francophone category, you have to mention Francophone mobility, CLB5. Just Google Francophone mobility and read the details there. If it's possible to copy and paste the information on your letter of explanation, put it there so that they can understand what you're saying. And if you're stuck, or if you feel that you can't do it yourself, you can contact us. That's why we are here to help you. All right. So let me move on to the next question. I hope I can take as much question as I can. Oh, I think I've skipped a lot of questions. So okay. So I finished my Bachelor's of Laws. I'm working with Nigerian Immigration Services 2009 today. Please, I need your WhatsApp number for consultation. Okay, so I don't have WhatsApp. I'm giving, so this August special, did I ever mention that I was doing August special? I'm sorry. So this August special that I am doing, right? I also gave discount, right? I gave discount. Typically, my consultation fees within a certain threshold, but I slashed it, and the number of minutes I will spend with you is actually more compared to like, I don't think any other consultant has done this kind of discount that I'm doing. I just hope they don't get offended and say that I'm trying to crash the price. I hope they don't get offended. But it's August special, and I'm doing it because this is my birth month. This is my husband's birth month. This is my the month of our marriage anniversary, and then the month we landed in Canada. So it's a 4-in-1 kind of celebration. So I just put August special. So if you want a one-on-one, I'll recommend you book a consultation on the website. I use it on the website. I put August special. There's no other service there apart from that particular August special service. Every other service was blocked out because of this particular August special. So yeah, if you want us to really map out an option for you, then I will recommend you book a session one-on-one, because people who contact me on WhatsApp, they know that my WhatsApp is, how will I put it? I'm the only person that can be able to give you advice. My admin team, they have limited knowledge when it comes to immigration. So I wouldn't even recommend you contacting my admin team to give you anything immigration advice, because they don't even have all the details, right? So if you contact me on WhatsApp, I have a lot of people who are trying to reach me on WhatsApp at the same time, and it's difficult for me to just say if I say I want to answer all my messages on WhatsApp, that means I'll spend the whole day on WhatsApp and not do any other thing. So I have a window block where I answer to messages on WhatsApp, and after that I just move on to do something else, so that I can be able to apportion my time. That's the only way I can really how will I put it now, be effective around the things I do. Okay, so let me answer this question. Can you break down the New Brunswick easiest pathway? New Brunswick does not, like, as at last year, New Brunswick was one of the easiest provinces to get PR. But this year is not looking the same, because immigration, RCC cut provincial nomination slots, and it's impacting all the provinces, such that some occupations that easily could get PR, they removed those occupations, like cook, administrative assistant, administrative officers, which is impacting a lot of people. So if you ask me which is the easiest pathway in New Brunswick, the only one that comes to my mind right now is the New Brunswick critical worker pilot. That's the only one that I would say it looks like the easiest. That one, just get a job offer from any of the six organizations that have been designated as employers for the critical worker pilot. If you get a job offer with them, and then you apply for provincial nomination, as long as the employer is willing to endorse you, a permanent job offer, then you apply for provincial nomination through that route. So that's the only one I can recommend for now. Every other person is waiting to get an invitation to apply for provincial nomination, and they've removed some occupation. So There's really no easy pathway for New Brunswick right now. Okay, I'll move on to the next. Can someone with expiring work permit apply for work permit extension using LMI exempt if employer wants to support without nomination? If the employer is not LMI approved, what options is available? So this is the same thing I've been talking about, that for those whose work permits are about to expire and you don't have any other options, you've not gotten an invitation to apply for provincial nomination or a permanent resident under express entry, you can use the francophone mobility. If you just go ahead and apply for work permit extension using LMI exempt, what is the category you're putting? What category will it fall under? There has to be a category, right? I mentioned earlier that if you're applying for work permit extension and you do not explain to the visa officer which category of your work permit is falling under, they would reject the application. So if you want to apply for, if your employer wants to apply for LMIA exemption, on what basis is your employer applying for LMIA exemption? Is your employer part of the designated employers under RCIP or AIP? Or is your employer a normal employer and you, who is the candidate, you have a CLB 5 in French language for your employer to apply for LMIA exemption, right? If you have a CLB 5 in French and your employer agrees, then your employer can apply for LMI exemption. But if you don't have a CLB 5 in French, your employer is not under maybe the AIP designated employers, your employer is not under the ROCIP designated employers, you have not gotten endorsements from under AIP or ROCIP or FCIP, you have not applied, you have not gotten an invitation to apply under express entry. Like even ITA for express entry, that one doesn't need LMI exemption because you automatically apply for bridging open work permit. Same thing with provincial nomination as well. These two categories, they do not need your employer to apply for LMI exemption. They are under, you would apply under bridging open work permit. So those ones don't need exemption. So you need to know on what basis is your employer apply for LMI exemption for you. Do you qualify with a CLB 5 in French, or is your employer a designated employer and you've gotten endorsement? You have to answer those questions first before you even apply for LMI exemption. Okay, I'll move on to the next. Would I be able to get the work permit here in Canada without traveling to Nigeria? Okay, so with the rules of flagpoling, before people could flagpole and get their work permit. Now the rule is that you have to leave Canada and then come back and then get your permit at the port of entry. So you have to weigh that option of leaving and then coming back because you can't flagpole. Right? So that's the situation. What are the new immigration laws for master's holders under 35 years? Easy ways to secure work visa. There is no new immigration laws for master. Like the same immigration laws is applicable to everybody. If you're under 35 years, have you taken your language exams to know what your potential scores would be? If it's express entry, if it's the other immigration pathway, you have to know. Like if you're a novice entirely, just mention that you don't know anything about immigration, you just want to know, right? That way I'll be able to answer your question. But if you just put up random questions like this, it's difficult to give you or to point out the direction you should take. So thank you, my sister. Diaspora parties, please. Can we do party? Funny enough, I'm not a party person. I wish I was a party person. I would have been. But funny enough, how will I put it now? When I was much younger, I was a dancer kind of, right? But I don't know, I don't know whether it's with age I become you when you see yourself. I used to see myself as an extrovert, like an extreme extrovert. I was always out there, the life of the party, the hype woman, everything. But with age, I just see myself as a recluse. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I just see myself more indoor than outdoor. And I don't know. It's impacting. It's even impacting my ability to explore New Brunswick. Like if it was before, I would have gone the whole of New Brunswick. Just like when I was in Manitoba, I was every weekend we don't drive, go here, drive the whole of Manitoba. But since I came to New Brunswick, I've just been a recluse, right? I just have to push myself out to go to places. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let me answer this question. Please provide clarity about a PGWP applicant holder securing a job in a certain tier 012 and in demand job for extending spouse work permit. Okay, so let me explain this. Before the rules, before January 21, 2025, everybody could extend their work permit based on their spouse's status. So let's say Mr. Lagbaja and Mrs. Lagbaja comes to school in Canada. Mr. Lagbaja is the student, Mrs. Lagbaja is the spouse, she's on spousal open work permit. Now, Mr. Lagbaja, who is the student, before January 21, 2025, if Mr. Lagbaja was applying for postgraduate work permit, Mrs. Lagbaja automatically could apply for extension of her spousal open work permit without any issues. That was before January 21, 2025. So effective January 21, 2025, the rules has changed, meaning that if Mr. Lagbaja, who is the student, is applying for PGWP, either he gets a job offer in tier 01 in any occupation at all, no restriction, right? Before the spouse can apply for the spouse open work permit extension. But if he gets a job offer in tier 2 and tier 3, it has to be in a selected occupation. And IRCC put up the list of the occupations that they must have a job offer in before the spouse can apply for a spousal open work permit extension. I hope I explained it clearly. So effective January 21, 2025, if you are applying for a PGWP, you have to target a job offer in tier 0, tier 1 that is not restricted to any occupation for your spouse to apply for the extension of her spousal open work permit. If you do not get a job offer in tier 0 and tier 1, you get a job offer in tier 2 and tier 3, it has to be one of the occupations that they have selected. IRCs themselves are the ones that selected those occupations and said, you must be working in these occupations before your spouse can apply for the extension of her work permit. So even if you came in 5 years ago, you came in 6 years ago, the rules applies to everybody. There is no exemption to the rule. I hope I've answered that question. Okay, all right, I'll move on to the next. Best province for business management professionals, finance and technology centered. Okay, best province for business management professionals. At the moment, it depends on a lot of factors if you want to target, right? Are you coming as a student and then you are thinking, okay, if I finish my program and I get a job offer, which province is better for me to stay in, to study, and then I'll be able to work in the line, right? So if you're able to give me more details, if you're able to give me more details, then I'll be able to give you advice. Sorry, there's a bit of a distraction. I hope you didn't, my baby was crying in the background. I hope she's not disrupting this, our video, our live session. Okay, Bello, what's your question? Please ask your question because I've not seen your question yet. So I'll move on to the next question. Okay, yes, the rule is affecting a lot of people, right? It's affecting a lot of people, and sadly, a lot of people do not know. They just go ahead and apply, and then they get a refusal. So if you submitted, I've said it before. Sadly, I said it on my Instagram page, and I'm saying it now. If you applied before January 21, 2025, if you applied before January 21, 2025, the requirement is that you can be working in any field. There was no selected occupations list. There was no tier 0, tier 1 list, right? So if you applied for PGWP before January 21, 2025, and you have not gotten a decision on your application yet, please, what you should be doing is quickly update IRCC of your job offer. Because if you applied without including that you had a job offer, that means your spouse's spousal open work permit application will be refused. So if you're part of this session and you applied before January 21, 2025, and you just applied for your PGWP like that with your spouse, apply for spousal open work permit like that, and you do not include your job offer in your application, it will impact your spouse's open work permit. So quickly raise a web form and send your job offer. Raise a web form and send your job offer via web form as fast as possible, so that before they make a decision, they will see that you have a job offer. I'm referring to those who applied for their PGWP before January 21, 2025. But anything effective January 21, 2025, you must at least get a job offer in tier 0, tier 1, any occupation at all. But the moment your job offer falls on that tier 2, it has to be in one of the selected occupations that they have listed. Okay, I'll move on to the next question. Can you please explain the rules pertaining to Alberta PMP for licensed practical nurse? If you have a job offer for FTE 0.8, as LPN will be eligible under AIP, or we need a full-time job offer. So yeah, you will need a full-time job offer. This FTE thing has been an issue. A lot of people have been asking this question. You need a full-time job offer. It's a full-time job offer. That's what they want. Right? It's a full-time job offer that you will need. Okay, so I'll move on to the next. Proof of funds not an issue. We enter directly through express entry, IELTS sorted, no history with Canada, frequently visits Europe and USA. So, well, you can enter express entry, but it's a function of what your comprehensive ranking scores will be and what your occupation will be. If your occupation is in the selected occupation, then good and fine. But if your occupation is not one of the category-based occupations, that means you have to go get the experience under one of the category-based occupations. They are no longer doing the general express entry draw where every occupation can be selected. The only one they are doing it under is under the Canadian experience class, which I mentioned that if they do Canadian experience class, those who have prior Canadian experience, 1 year experience in working in tier 0, 1, 2, 3, when they do a draw, all the occupations, they are not selecting any occupation this time around. All the occupations can be selected based on what do you call it now? Your draw scores. But if you are outside Canada, you are not eligible for Canadian experience class if you do not have Canadian experience. That means you are eligible for the category-based selection. Now, for the category-based selection, we have about 6 categories. We have the STEM, we have healthcare, we have agriculture, we have trades, we have French, we have education. I think there's also social sciences, social works or whatever. I think about 7 or 6. I don't know whether I'm mixing it up. But these categories, right, you have to select, or you have to be working in the occupations they've listed in these categories. And a lot of people since the announcement, a lot of people have been gaining work experience in these categories. The minimum requirement is actually 6 months work experience, just 6 months work experience in any of the selected occupations, and then you can create your profile in the express entry. If you have very good scores, you'll be selected. So far, they have only selected education and healthcare and social work. Those are the 3 categories they've selected so far. They've not selected trades, they've not selected STEM, they've selected French as well. Sorry, so I forgot to mention French is also part of the categories they've selected. So they've selected just 4 out of how many? But they've not selected STEM, they've not selected trades, they've not selected agriculture. So these 3 categories are still outstanding. There's a possibility that when they do a draw between August and December, they might invite people under this category for trades, category for STEM, category for agriculture, these 3. Now, if you want to position yourself, the best way to position yourself is to actually get the experience. If you have the educational qualification, that's an additional bonus. But one thing you should also know about IRCC is this, and I've seen this a lot. A lot of people just go to these category-based occupations and look at the one that they feel is simple, that does not have issues, and say, okay, cook. Let me use cook as an example. So cook is one of the occupations under the category-based selection, right? So somebody would just say, okay, since they've put cook as one of the occupations in the category-based selection, I'll quickly say change my knock code to cook. You have to be very careful, because when IRCC wants to poke holes in your application, they will poke holes in the area that you're not expecting they will poke holes from. So you might be thinking, oh, okay, I can just quickly get a reference letter, or I can quickly go and work in one of those places and get experience as a cook and just choose cook. But if IRCC now wants to poke holes in your application, they might poke holes such that you might not be able to provide the documents to support your experience. So you have to be careful when you are choosing work experience under the category-based selection. Make sure that the work experience that you are claiming to have, you actually have that work experience and you have the educational document to support it. And one thing you should also look out for is, if you're selecting your knock code, go back to that knock description again. Go and read it again. Read the educational component parts where they mention the type of education needed for that kind of job. Go back and read it again. If there is an educational requirement, right, that means you need to be sure that your education is matching the work experience. If they say, as a cook, you must have a bachelor's degree in cook, I'm just giving that as an example, and you don't have a bachelor's degree being a cook, but you have the work experience being a cook, do you know IRCC can refuse the application just because you do not have the educational qualification to support your experience? They could do that, especially if they are suspicious that your experience is shady, right? So please make sure that whatever you're doing is genuine. If you're going to switch to any of the category-based occupations, choose an occupation that you can defend, that you know you actually worked in, that you know you have the documents to support. So that's I think that's all for now. We just have 1 more minute to the time. I will give maybe 5 more minutes extra if there's any other question that I have not answered. Okay, so let me answer this question. If you get ITA in NB, is that sufficient to apply for work permit extension, or must it be when you get nomination? So if you get ITA in NB, try as much as possible to submit your application as fast as possible before your work permit expires. If you get your ITA, that's you got an ITA in NB. Okay, so now I understand your question. You get an ITA in NB, you have to submit to NB to get a nomination before you apply for work permit extension. So this is a very dicey situation. What some people do, and this is not, I'm not advising that you do that. This is not an advice, right? What some people do is that they go ahead and explain to the IRC officers that, see, I got an ITA. This is evidence of my ITA. And I've submitted my application to New Brunswick, right? That's what some people do, but I'm not advising that you do that. They go ahead and explain that I've submitted my application to New Brunswick. I am waiting a decision. When the decision is received, I will update my application with the provincial nomination document. That's what some people do, but I'm not advising that you do that. To be on the safe side, so that IRCC does not interpret it as misrepresentation. I don't know. The misrepresentation is a very thin line, so you have to be very careful. Some people just take the risk. I don't advise that. I won't advise that. Some people take the risk, but the best thing to do is to actually switch your work permit to visitor status. If you want to just say, I don't want IRCC's wahala, right? It's better to switch from work permit to a visitor status, which means you cannot work. And I've always advised this, that for people who are finding themselves in such a situation, if you have good digital skills, it's better for you to start searching for remote job opportunities outside Canada that can sustain you while you're trying to get your status. So you don't say, oh, I cannot work in Canada. That means I cannot be able to do anything. No, if you cannot work in Canada, does not mean you cannot do anything. You can work remotely for a US employer. You can work for a German employer. You can work for a UK employer remotely living in Canada. So you should also consider ways of getting a job offer from an employer that is not a Canadian employer, that is not based in Canada, so that you can at least get your income from those sources and not bother about whether RCC will accept your explanation or not. Okay, so we have 3 more minutes. Let me quickly answer this question. Best province for clinical laboratory scientist profession after postgraduate. Clinical laboratory scientist. So clinical laboratory scientist is subjective. When in terms of, if you ask me which province, I'll still mention Manitoba for now, but you have to check if clinical laboratory scientist is one of the occupations in demand in Manitoba. First of all, confirm. If it is in demand, then I would say yes, Manitoba. Why? Because Manitoba still, they've kept their occupations in demand list. They've not scrapped it. Compared to other provinces that are cherry picking the people that they will give nominations to, right? Manitoba has kept their occupation in demand list. So check if your occupation is in demand in Manitoba. Okay, so I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for joining me in today's live. I'll be back tomorrow again. So please, which topic do we talk about tomorrow? What do we talk about tomorrow so that I can come prepared for tomorrow's topic? If you have any topic that you want me to talk about tomorrow, please go ahead and put it in the comment section so that I can prepare for the topic tomorrow, and I'll come here and talk about it, because I said I want to give my community members, I've missed you guys a lot, so I need to catch up and overtake. So it's back to back 25 days immigration content. So I'll be back here tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, 10 p.m. West African time, that's Nigerian time, or I don't know whether Ghana and Nigeria are still on the same time zone, but I know, yeah. So if you have anything you want me to talk about, please let me know so that I can come and talk about it. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you that joined me in this impromptu, like it was just yesterday I mentioned it, and I can see the numbers and I'm really grateful. I still have my people supporting me. Sometimes when we run away like this, we just say, do I still have people at all? But I'm happy that I still have people. Thank you, Ofonime Kong. Thank you, Bello Rilwan. Thank you, YG. Thank you, Solomon. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you so much for joining me in this session. Thank you, Navigating Life with Iweni, Diaspora Parties. Thank you. So please, let's talk on best PMP for 2025. Okay, probably that's what I'll prepare for tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful and really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule to come and have a conversation with me. I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate you all. And I want to wish you a good evening. All right. Bye. Please, do you like my hair? I cut my hair off. Don't mind me. But if you see me outside, I'll be wearing wig. If inside the house, I'll just leave my hair like that. I just want to be free. All right. Have a good evening. Joy Best Gist. Thank you. You can join tomorrow. We are doing a back-to-back. Like every day we'll be having conversations for the next till the end of this month. We'll be having YouTube live sessions every day till the end of this month. Thank you so much for joining me and have a good evening. Thank you, Joy Best. Thank you so much for my kokoro hair. All right. Bye.